Hello, my name is Dr. Sidney Freeman Jr., and this is Communiversity. This is an initiative to engage Black Adventist young people to show them the skills that they need to succeed in the future. This program was inspired by Ronnie Vanderhorst, and he wanted to ensure that young people were able to thrive and not just survive, and have the schools that have the tools that they needed in the future. So we're excited that you once again are here with us on this program. And this one other thing that I wanted to mention is that this program has been sponsored in partnership with the North Pacific Union of Seventh-day Adventists, and we are so thankful for their seed grant to allow us to have this. Well, I have one of my good friends, Pastor Claudia Allen, with us today. I wanted to engage her in a dialogue about the skills and the things that you need to know by the age of 30. We all know that our target audience for this programming is between the ages of 18 and 24. And we want to equip you with the knowledge that you need to have to be successful across the board. And so one of the great things about Pastor Allen is that not only is she a pastor, but she is someone that has been an educator. She's someone that has been in multiple disciplines, engaged multiple disciplines. And so I wanted to bring someone to speak on this topic that had a wide array of backgrounds in different areas, and so glad to have her on this program. Thank you so much, Claudia, for being with us.
Listen,
so that one of the challenges that young adults often have, and even those that have been adults for a little while now, is how you develop your individuality and independence away from your parents, right? And how do you parents and other loved ones, right? So could you talk about that transition and how that transition can be made in a healthy way?
Totally. Yeah, listen, me and my mom have a great relationship now. And it was a work in progress, but I think that there's a lot of grace and understanding that she didn't even have to say this stuff to me. Some things clicked in my mind once you get over 30. So, for example, my mom is extremely overprotective to the point where she will call me and my brother today. Both of us are over 30. And she'll be like, y'all lock the doors, right? You shut the you close the you lock the doors, you lock the windows. Yeah. Okay. Karen, you are a 12-hour drive away, sis. You know? And so we would always, my brother lives in California there, but he lives in, kind of the Bay Area. There could be a earthquake in Southern California, and she's going to text, hey, how you doing? Are you good? Are you all right? And he's like, I'm yes. Nowhere near me. Like, and so, I think that when you're very young, you find that kind of thing to be annoying, to be overbearing, and you can find yourself generating a lot of unnecessary arguments with your parents because you perceive it as a means of control as well.
Right.
When in actuality, they're not necessarily trying to control you. They just really care. And it took me a very long time to get to a point where I understood that. And, part of my story is also my mother's story. And so, my mom had several miscarriages before she got pregnant with me. So my mom, I think, moves with a different mindset of, I really don't want anything to happen to this kid,
Yeah.
than maybe somebody else who hasn't experienced that level of loss. But I, as a, I'm 18, 19, I might know this story, but I have not internalized it to where it
Yeah.
makes sense to me. I'm just mad shorty on my phone. Get off my phone. And so I think that part of what helped me to have a better relationship with my mom was me coming to a place of maturity and really understanding her story and how her story is connected to me, and how the things that she experienced in her own life are absolutely influencing how she interacts with me. And so what might feel like, man, she won't let me have no friends. She won't let me talk to nobody. She won't let me date nobody. She won't let me, I used to always joke, I grew up in Alcatraz. And that's a fact. Like, I couldn't do nothing, But when I think about, her own experiences and different things growing up and what she is aware of, I also understand now why she has that mindset. And so I think one of the greatest ways for young people to kind of help mend their relationships with their parents, um, is to just continue the open dialogue. You got to find new things to talk about, and you have to help ease your parent out of the parenting role and into the advisory board member role, right? So
Mhm.
you are no longer the executive director of my life. As a parent between the ages of 0 and, shoot, I'll give you 21. You know,
21, yeah.
ages of
Yeah.
0 to 21, you are really the executive director of this life. You get to decide
Mhm.
where I go, when I go, who I spend time with, who I don't spend time with. And you and I are going to argue about that day in and day
Yeah.
out, because I am
Yeah.
also an individual who you are
Mhm.
actively trying to manage, lead, rear, etc. Okay? Once you get to, I would say, 27, now your frontal lobe is complete. So before, your brain wasn't even done. Okay. So,
Yeah.
you got to deal with that. But 27, your frontal lobe is complete. Now you are possibly either in another graduate program or you are working in your career.
Mhm.
You've been working in your career for some time. You're living on your own, guaranteed at this point. Your health insurance belongs to you. More than likely, the car insurance is in your name. It takes a little bit for some of these things to transition, particularly if you have a helicopter parent like me. I stayed on my mother's health insurance, and that I can't even blame her for that. That was me. I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to get off of Karen's health insurance ever, if at all possible. Okay. And I live in a whole other state from the
Mhm.
time I was 22, and I still was on Michigan health insurance. I was on Michigan car insurance. I was on Michigan stuff for a little bit, cuz I was like,
Right.
why detach? Right? And so once you get to around 27, you're fully kind of on your own for a little bit now.
Mhm.
And this is the space where you're now able to help bring your parent or parents into that advisory relationship with you. And this is where you're calling and you're asking for suggestions. So, this is how I would frame stuff. You have to change your language. I don't call my mother to ask for her permission to do anything, right?
Mhm.
We say, "Hey, mom, so I'm considering blah 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 blah. Here's all the information for you to help me make a good decision. I need to make an informed decision about this job. I need to make an informed decision about this person. I need to make an informed decision about whatever. And so here's all the data." And once she or your father kind of really get settled into their new role, it's going to take a little bit, it might take a couple of
Yeah.
years. But once they really kind of get settled, they are going to like the new role more than you like them in the new role. And
Right.
so they are going to really be like, okay, I'm so glad you brought this up. And they'll be excited and be like, okay, but you need to consider this. You need to think about this. You need to think about that. You need to think about that. And there will be days where you're going to say, okay, I hear you on all of that. But
Mhm.
honestly, I still think that this is the better decision. And you can agree to disagree, but you got all of the wisdom and information that you needed from your parent to make a decision. And when they're in that role and they're settled in it, they're able to then say, and I totally respect that. I mean, my mom has gotten to the point now where I don't even say it. She says it in every conversation. She's like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your life.
Your decision.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right. Right. Right.
every conversation is like, you got to sleep with him. You
Mhm.
gotta, marry this person. You have to decide if, for her, it's like, it's your life. And so I can tell you what I think is the best way to go, but you are the person that's living this. And I think part of like her re-emphasizing that to me is also really great and really important because I did feel like I had a life journey where I was doing what other people wanted me to do for a very long time. And I have
Mm.
struggled to gain clarity about what Claudia actually wants. And so you want to have people in your life, whether it's friends, whether it's your parents, whether it's mentors, colleagues, peers, people that are really intent on helping you figure out what you want to do. And that's a very different task from telling you what you should do. People that really want you to figure out what you want to do ask you more questions and they
Mhm.
give you space to reflect and report back. And so you want, whether it's your parent relationship, your friend relationships, what have you, the people that are in your inner circle, you want those to be individuals that are not going to impose decisions upon you and then try to guilt or manipulate you into making the decision that they want you to make. You want people in your inner circle who are going to create an incubator of protection, an incubator of emotional protection that allows you to ask questions, be unsure, not have any clarity whatsoever. And in that incubator of protection, you're able to figure it out on your own time and then you can move forward. And the reality is, not everybody in your family has the emotional capacity or maturity to be that to you. And if you happen
Yeah.
to have a parent for whom that is the case, then I don't think your parent can be in the inner circle. And that's a hard kind of
Mhm.
thing to sit, which gets, even to the point you were making about boundaries and just really
Mhm.
being intentional about saying, okay, these are the things I'm going to do. These are the things I'm going to deal with. These are the things I'm not going to do. These are the things I'm not going to deal with. And understand that your no is not disrespect.
Right.
Your no is your boundary. And you have the right to lay a boundary as an adult and say what you will and will not do. And people at that point get to adjust if they
Mhm.
want to be in relationship with you. And you're going to have to grieve the fact that there are going to be a lot of people in your life that are going to specifically choose not to adjust. And they're, in essence, going to communicate to you that they would rather not be in relationship with you. And at that point, it is healthier for you to cut those individuals off, even if you are biologically related to them,
Yeah.
so that you can come and exist in a place of health and healing. And when that happens, particularly with people that you're biologically related to, that sends a message that, okay, you know what? I really do want a relationship with this person, so I need to change. I need to make this adjustment in how I interact with them if I want to have the privilege of their presence. And there are family members that change and adjust because they want to be in
Mhm.
relationship with you. And so, yeah, and I think
Mhm.
the same thing is with work. I for am very big on, particularly when I was working in an office, I do not take my work computer home
Okay.
ever. Never, not ever. I say up front in interviews that I am a Sabbath keeper, and so I am not available to work from Friday night to Saturday night.
Mhm.
I'm real big on I speak to people with a level of respect that I want to receive. So you're not
Mhm.
gonna be yelling at me in the workplace because I don't
Mhm.
yell at you in the workplace. And
Mhm.
so I think that those are some boundaries even at work that you can say, nobody can force you to take your work laptop home. My boss would try this all the time. She'd be like, take Claudia, you never know what's gonna happen. Something could happen in your work. I was like, if something happens and my work laptop is there, it is there. It's not coming with
Mhm.
because what's not gonna happen is I leave here at 10 o'clock at night and now you can text and call at 12 or
Right.
o'clock. Hey, can
Yeah.
you send this real quick? Can you do this real quick? Nah, it's not with me. It's at the office. So you have to set some boundaries so that people know, hey, I am a good worker. I'm gonna always do my job. I'm gonna always go above and beyond, but I do have boundaries to protect my sanity, to protect my time with my family, to protect friends, etc., etc. And so you've gotta be intentional about that.
So my last question is, what's something you wish more young people or young adults understood about adulthood that is not taught in the course, or
Man,
they can get from a class?
something about adulthood that is not taught in a class or in a textbook. I have it in my mind. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Adulthood adulthood can be summed up as you having to manage your internal and external life.
Mhm.
And so every day you have to go to work and manage a variety of tasks. And
Mhm.
school and textbooks and everyone has prepared you to be a worker. So you
Yeah.
know how to do that. Adulthood is you working for yourself.
Hmm.
And so adulthood is like, man, like I gotta do this laundry. I gotta go grocery shopping. Adulthood
Yeah.
is like, oh man, like my parents are getting older. My grandmother is getting older. I need
Mhm.
to be more intentional about checking in on my family. Am I taking out, the necessary time to manage my relationships? So you're managing relationships, you're managing your daily logistical tasks, for your environment. You are managing your emotions, you are managing your physical health. Are you ensuring the kind of foods you're eating, working out, getting enough sleep? Are you taking care of your soul, your spirit? Do you have some kind of spiritual practice on a daily basis of prayer and meditation and etc.? Um, Adulthood is a life of management. And if we
Mhm.
are honest, the majority of the people do not have the skills or the desire to manage their own lives, which is why they are trying to find other people to marry and be in relationship with so that they can turn into dependents.
Ah! That's heavy. That's heavy.
Many of y'all are trying to turn back into dependence. Somebody that somebody can write off on their taxes.
Ooh.
And you're trying to find somebody that's more responsible than you because you want them to manage the totality of your life. You want them
That-
to manage your emotions, you want them to manage your pleasure, you want them to manage your finances, you want them to manage your spirituality, you want them to manage everything. And you want to just come in and be taken care of. I said
Oh,
I said taken on purpose, English teacher. Yes. And so the reality that I don't think people will tell you about adulthood is that
wow.
adulthood is exhausting.
It is.
You're managing a lot within yourself and within the worlds around you that you exist in.
And you're not even talking about kids, having
I
kids
ain't
or
even talking about
aging
kids.
parents. You just don't want the weight of
You.
yes, just the weight of one person.
Yes. Yes. And
Wow.
so, the sooner you can figure out a rhythm, a
Yeah.
healthy, balanced rhythm for
This is
yourself
powerful.
that allows
Mm,
you to take care of the totality of your being. You
mm.
are physically healthy. You are spiritually healthy. You are emotionally healthy. Your apartment does not look like a tornado has ran through it 24/7, 365. Your taxes are in. Your bills are paid. You do not have the waterman coming to shut your stuff off like because you forgot the car note. You're not getting phone calls at the job because the people at the haven't gotten the car note paid. Like, are you managing you?
Wow.
The sooner you
Wow.
can learn how to manage you, then you will position yourself to ensure that you do not attach yourself to somebody who's trying to get you to manage them. And the sooner you can find somebody who's doing what you're doing, and that
That's gonna be a
is,
hard one.
you're right, they are managing themselves. And
Ooh.
because the both of you are successfully managing your own lives, and you happen to have
Wow.
things in common and you share common values and you're going in the same direction, now you can come together and you have a genuine partner. And now we can talk about the fact that I cannot stand to do laundry. Oh, well, you know what? I don't like doing dishes. And now we can divvy up responsibilities and the load becomes lighter because I have partnered with somebody who is also interested in managing responsibility, not partnered with somebody who is simply seeking to be taken care of. And I know
And you're
that,
not the only one that's saying partner. So you're see you're using the language partner. Now does everybody,
yeah,
you know,
partner.
one person may be saying partner and the other person is thinking, can you take care of?
Can you take care of? And here's the thing, it's not even just, I'm not speaking of this of even from the just the black woman perspective. I think that there are a lot of people who think, right, black women are always taking care of black men. Black women always, there's a lot of you females out here right now. My little sisters, little sis. If I had a son, little sis, if I had a son, he would not be allowed to be with some of y'all. Okay? Because I do not want my son picking up a dependent to then
Yeah.
have dependence with a dependent. And then he is the only one in the household managing all of the adulting things. That's not good for his sanity. So whether you are a man, whether you are a woman, wherever, however you identify, you need to be clear and certain that you have done the emotional work necessary and the laborious work necessary
Mhm.
to build your own routine where you are taking care of you. And the truth
Right.
of the matter is a lot of us are not taking care of ourselves to the caliber that we should be prior to the age of 30. And so take this time to get to know yourself. Go out, hang out, meet people. I'm not saying don't date. I'm not, yeah, you need to be building relationships, be outside doing the things. But
Yeah.
as you are building relationship, ensure that you are building a relationship with yourself
Yeah.
and that you are, you know, adulting is adulting is tiring. And so make sure that you are taking care of you and that you're not just out here living life trying to find a new parent. I'm out of my parents' house. I tried this for a little bit. This is ghetto. This is exhausting. I don't want to do this no more. So I need to find a new parent. No, you need to keep working on yourself. And find somebody to partner. You don't need to marry another parent. You need to marry a partner. And I think that that's something you won't get in the textbook.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this. This was wisdom and insight. This was powerful. Particularly this last part, I think is really important to touch on how we navigate these relationships and how they identify some of the right characteristics in others. So with that, what is the best way in which to kind of engage with you if somebody wanted to reach out to you or see some of the content that you're doing?
Absolutely. Follow me on Instagram, on all my platforms. It's officially CMA. That's where you can follow me. You can feel free to send a DM. People DM me questions and stuff all the time, and I do my best to respond wholeheartedly. You might get a voice note. It might be 5 minutes. You might get 2-3 voice notes. As you can tell, I'm a little long-winded, so don't be mad at me. But I do tend to be a bit long-winded with my answers. So, but if you reach out, I am more than happy to respond. So.
Well, thank you again so much for what you've been able to share. I think I picked up a book. Here, How to Be a Grown Up, the 14 essential skills you didn't know you needed.
I've got it up on my Amazon. I'm checking this out for real.
Rafi Greenberg. This is a great book, but I think you filled in some pieces that weren't even in the textbook. So thank you so much. And want to encourage our audience to continue to watch our content. We are trying to ensure that we provide information that will empower you and inspire you as you grow as an adult. Blessings to you. Until next time.